Hey everyone, Sergio here with the Rideshare Guide. What do we say on Show Me the Money Club? Work smarter, not harder. If you aren't using the Solo app, which I have been for the past year and a half, you may be working a lot harder than you need to. Let's change that. Download the app, link your account where you can manage your income, track your expenses, as well as your taxes. Not only that, but you can plan by optimizing your time, make more money, and even guarantee your daily pay with guaranteed earnings. Download the Solo app today. Begin to work smarter, not harder. Link is in the description. Let's get back to it.
And with that being said, let's bring on Nicole Moore of RDU. Nicole, how you doing?
Hey, great to see you guys. How's it going?
Oh,
hey, Nicole, welcome to our 4th year anniversary show.
Congratulations. You guys really have been telling the stories.
Oh, yeah.
Giving the info.
Yeah, telling the story and with big, advocacy for the driver community. And I think we did an okay job so far. But thank you for coming on really quick notice. I mean, this news broke yesterday. I texted her and she says, sure. And I'm like, here we go. There she is. Nicole Moore from Rideshare Drivers United, about 20,000 strong. Last time I checked, is it still 20,000?
Yeah, about that.
About that. Okay, cool. And she is the president of Rideshare Drivers United. And so, Nicole, let's get right into it. The news broke yesterday. Because of the news, actually, I had 2 media calls that I had to do. They were asking me, what is this about? I go, you guys should go talk to Nicole. And I'm sure they did talk to you. You've been busy the last couple of days. So Shannon Liss Reardon, a famed Boston class action attorney. Mostly she's known for her victories against Uber in the past, Starbucks and companies like that. So you joined forces with them and filed suit. Now tell us what this is about. I know what it is, but our audience would like to hear from you.
Sure. Well, the companies were doing everything they could to keep us from keep them from having to pay us at least minimum wage and our expenses, which is, what our big wage claim lawsuit is about, that the state is backing us along with 3 cities to get money back that we were owed under basic labor rights that we had in 2016 to 2020. Now, when Prop 22 passed, basically it said, we still control you with an algorithm, like a manager, like a boss, but you don't have any rights of regular workers with bosses, right? So, and we're going to make this new rule. And the way we'll make it palatable to drivers and the public is we'll add a few things in, right? We'll add a few things in that will help drivers. Like, for instance, there'll be a fair appeals process if you're deactivated by the algorithm. Now, I don't have to talk to any driver in California that hasn't experienced deactivation to know that the appeals process is not anything. You find yourself arguing with a chat bot. You try to find a human, and they're reading a script to you. Nobody is listening to drivers. A lot of times they won't even accept your dash cam footage. A lot of times they don't even tell you, they just say unsafe driving, and you have to kind of put it together what they might have been happening about. We had one of our San Francisco members talking about, somebody was merging into his lane on the freeway, not even looking in the rear view, about to run into him. He had to slam the brakes. Within 2 hours, he was deactivated for unsafe driving. If he hadn't done that, they would have been an accident, right? So he's guessing that's what they're talking about, but he has no idea. And nobody in the company would really talk to him about whether that was unsafe driving or not, and just deactivated him permanently. Yeah. And, he's a longtime driver with, 18,000 rides under his belt. And it just flat took him off the platform. We all have heard these stories. Anybody of us who've ever sat in a parking lot with other drivers, we know this is what happens with deactivation. Sometimes it's a little bit of time, sometimes it's permanent. But there's not a fair process.
Yeah.
And so,
if anyone should know about deactivation, it would be me, because I get literally dozens, and I'm saying dozens, requests a week for help from drivers who have been deactivated, and they all think it's unjustly done, right?
Yeah.
And I can't help them because I have no special powers to get these people on the platform. So I feel for all of them. Obviously, it's more their livelihood, and it's just done. And I was talking to a media yesterday. I said, look, in the US, we have a saying, right? Innocent until proven guilty. In rideshare, it's completely the opposite. It's guilty until you can prove yourself innocent. And it's really difficult to prove yourself innocent with a chatbot or AI systems, right?
Absolutely.
And so I know Prop 22 as well as anybody. So within Prop 22, when they passed it with $220 million of their own money, these gig platform companies, there is rules and regulations in there regarding deactivations, how the process should work. Just, outside them pushing you to arbitration, obviously, which they want. And that's a cluster F of a situation in itself. So is the lawsuit based on that part of Prop 22 not being followed?
So what we're saying is Prop 22, you can't pick and choose what you're going to follow from Prop 22. We all know they're perfectly good with paying us the about $6 an hour that it breaks down to the way their pay works. But when it comes to things like a fair appeals process for an algorithmic deactivation, it's nowhere to be found. And you can't get the protection of the law on paying us garbage while not giving us the protection of this. And so our argument is they're not following the law. Prop 22 doesn't apply to them.
Okay,
so, we know as long as we've been driving, the two main issues that drivers have, the number one is that we're not being paid enough, and it's only getting worse, not better. And then the other one is unfair deactivations. And we have to go after both of those. And so this is, if they're not following the law, then they literally owe us what would be due to any worker in California under state law, which is a minimum wage plus expenses for all the time we work. And that's what our wage claims are based on from 2016 to 2020. We need to pull that into now. They've made a rule. They've made a big law. They've rewritten labor law. They sold it to California voters who thought it was going to give drivers more rights rather than less rights. It's given us less rights. It's made it worse for the passengers, honestly.
Yeah.
And so now let's just look at this. They're not following the law. It doesn't apply to them. And that's what the lawsuit is about.
Okay. And while we're at it, as far as the lawsuit is concerned, is it just against Uber? Because I was kind of puzzled about that, because all these gig companies, Lyft, I get pretty much equal billing when I receive emails from deactivated drivers, some on Lyft, some on Uber. Lyft says, well, we have improved our appeals process through the app. I'm not sure. I don't think it has. But why not sue all the gig companies? Because people get deactivated unjustly from DoorDash because somebody doesn't receive their food, or they blame the driver, and then DoorDash will deactivate you, or Walmart Spark, or Target Shipped, or Instacart. Or why not go after all of them? Since they all fall under Prop 22.
Yes. Couldn't agree with you more. I hope everybody in their boardrooms is looking at their appeals process, because they're next. Uber's the biggest market share, harms the most drivers. That's where we started.
Okay. All right. So there's more to come on that one. One other thing while we're at it, you were talking about the wage claims, right?
Yeah.
Last time you were on, we talked about it in detail. Is there an update on that topic? And I really tried to get involved, but nobody listened, because I wanted to be in the room when it comes to these negotiations. I don't think you guys are even in the room. So
no, we're not in the room.
Yeah.
But
what's going on there?
We're working really hard to make sure that the state and the 3 cities know exactly where drivers are on this. And I will just be very proud of drivers throughout the state of California who showed up at city attorney's offices, have showed up at Bonta's office, have showed up at the Labor Commission's office and said, look, this is how much we're owed. We're talking about tens of billions of dollars. Don't go soft, right?
Yeah.
Because it would, I mean, I don't know a driver that hasn't filed lawsuit and ended up with a $200 check when they know they were owed, 5 figures,
Yeah.
we're not, we can't do that here in California. So, that's where we are. So we're still pushing them in that process. And we just delivered 10,000 signatures to the state to say, from drivers all over the state who said, no, we're not don't settle. So what I can say is they haven't settled yet, which is not good news for our pocketbook, but it's better than a $200 check. We feel that they're probably holding strong in those negotiations. And in addition, they're now actively doing depositions and discovery, preparing for the court. In a courtroom under AB 5, which is what with a lot of the land there, it would be very hard for a judge to settle against the drivers for the tens of billions of dollars that we're owed. I don't think Uber wants to go. Lyft doesn't want to go to the courtroom.
I agree with you. I agree with you because Uber's history is that they extended and extended and extended. They settle. I don't think Uber has ever gone to court about any lawsuit from my recollection, to be honest with you, because they're trying to, not go through discovery and open up the books and open up the algos and open up all that the can of worms. So but when does this, what's the timeline on this one? I mean, if they don't settle, is there a timeline for it to go to trial?
So the one we had a court date. They had a court date set for January 2027. So we could say confidently then that we thought the settlement would happen now. They just moved that court date towards the end of 2027.
Okay.
So don't ask me if you're on fire to go to court to get it solved.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous how long these companies are extending this. Yeah, I mean, they're responsible for the first 3.5 years of nothing because they challenged the state's right to even sue them on this.
Yeah.
So, it was a specious argument. It was stupid. And it was the whole purpose of it was to waste 3.5 years of drivers' time, of this court's time. It's ridiculous. There needs to be justice, and there needs to be justice faster.
Yeah. Hopefully, them pushing it away, hopefully it requires them to include some back pay or whatever not, because, time is money. But I wanted to ask you about the back pay on this new lawsuit about, unjust deactivations. Is there going to be back pay involved in case? I'm not sure what stage you guys just filed the lawsuit, and I'm sure Uber responded and saying, "We'll see you guys in court" or whatever. And so, did you ask for back pay as well? Because some people have been deactivated for 2-3 years unjustly.
Well, it's interesting because we as an organization are the plaintiff, right? The organization was not deactivated. Yeah. It's, hundreds of thousands of drivers who've been deactivated, right? Yeah. But we, like you, also have a deactivation committee that helps folks who are off of work because they've been deactivated, and we've been successful in getting some people put back on the platform, but it's not consistent, and there's rarely a real hearing. So we as an organization are have been damaged by the fact that they don't have hearings, because we can't use the process to make sure that drivers' voices are heard. So is there back pay for RDU? But right now, there's, through our clinic, if it looks like you have a good case for arbitration, working with Liz Reardon's law firm, we're working to slam as many arbitrations through as we can, and to get some real back pay for drivers that way.
Okay. And she's known for class actions. It seems like this is probably going to turn into some sort of class action. And
But-
would you suggest that I forward actually all the emails I get to her office as far as deactivated drivers? Because look, a lot of them are confused. And my pat response to all of them is, one, you can take them to small claims court for the maximum of your state. That you
Mhm.
can do. That's easy thing to do. You can file the paperwork and do that. You may get a judgment on them to the maximum, but then for basically lost wages and unjust termination, but
Mhm.
then to collect is completely something different, right?
Mhm.
Because I do really feel for them, and I feel helpless when I get these emails. I go, Serge, please help me. I'm like, I can't. There's nothing I can do. I mean, if you've gone through their appeals process through the app, and if they still denied you, in most cases they do, you're done. So hopefully you drive for both platforms. If you got deactivated from Uber, maybe you can drive for Lyft. But that's the only answer I have. So how do drivers join this lawsuit, actually, this latest one?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what our process is. And we do
Okay.
have a place on our website where folks who want help with deactivation can fill out a web form. And then we basically triage ones that we think would be really good for small claims court. There have been some success in small claims
Yeah.
court, ones that we think really probably can't make it. Like if you have, if you have a 4.6 rating as a driver, it doesn't matter how perfect you were, you're probably not going to get back on the platform because we really don't have rights, and that's just going to land you flat, right? So but if it's a good case for arbitration, like you have footage of the fact that the customer hit you, not the other way around, then this is a good case for an arbitration. And we are forwarding those cases to Liz Reardon.
Okay, so they could come to your website, RDU website, and then
Mhm.
check that out. There's one comment that I want to touch real quickly, and then I'll let
Yes.
you go. I know you're busy. RDU only California, how's that fair? Well, it's not fair, but RDU is not just because they're in California or I'm in California. It's because we have a law called Prop 22 that RDU and the lawyer is claiming that they're breaking the law as far as unjust deactivations or deactivations in general are concerned. They're not following the process that was written in law by the companies themselves. So that's the lawsuit. That's why only in California. So
Yeah.
I hope I answered that question. I'm going to
Yeah,
give you
and
the
I
floor.
would just add for folks in other parts of the country, we have to get ahead of this managed by algorithm, managed by AI thing. It is actually worse than my day job where I'm managed by a human in terms of how closely they control my actions. And it doesn't mean that I'm independent at all. And so I think we have to get to a place where we can fight the fact that deactivation by algorithm is absolutely dehumanizing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, like, it should be against human rights. But I will say we have a North Star, which is in New York City. They just won just cause deactivation. In the city of New York, unless it's an assault or something like that, if it's just a deactivation for whatever, the companies now have to give drivers 2 weeks notice. And they have to have a hearing where the companies prove that the driver knew that they were breaking the rule and it was their fault, not somebody else's fault. So that's where we need to go. And all workers deserve that right. But definitely drivers, when we're investing in our cars, we're making so little money. Like, the least we should have is a say when they deactivate us by an algorithm.
Yeah. Well, but like I said, it doesn't work, right? The guilty until you can prove yourself innocent. It shouldn't be that way. We don't run that kind of law in this country. We're innocent until proven guilty. And then one last thing I want to add is, as you know, even if you do appeal, right, through the app or even if you were lucky enough to get to a human safety team or whatever, what happens? You ask them, because you may have done 30, 40 trips that day. You go like, who is it? What is it? And then they go, no, it's the rider privacy. We cannot tell you who it was. I'm like, what kind of bullshit is that? I want to face my accuser because look, we know there are bad apples in the driver community, undoubtedly. But there are probably 100x bad apples in the rider community who lied through their teeth and then, get the, drivers fired, basically. So I'm going to give you the floor. We got like a minute or two. Close us up, and thank you for coming on. As you know, I've known you for a long time. You're doing great work at RDU, fighting these Goliath, and so this is the new chapter, and we'll follow closely, obviously.
Let's go fight, win, y'all. We have a lot of distance to make up for where these companies have taken us.
Yeah. Well, here's Nicole Moore, president of RDU, Rideshare Drivers United, 20,000 drivers strong, and thank you for coming on, Nicole.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you'll be notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.